Today we have an extra special episode of Shredded by Science Radio. Not only because I am sat in SBS HQ as opposed to in a room in my house with my microphone, my laptop, a pair of headphones, and probably a cat. This is my house.
We've all seen it on Snapchat.
I mean the genuine feline cat, not a euphemism for anything else. But also because we have the Phil Collins of the indie music scene. I say that because his Wikipedia article says that he's a drummer and does backing vocals.
That's right.
So, Steve Kemp from the band HardFi is with us at SBS HQ today.
Welcome, Steve.
Thank you.
Steve.
All right. So I'm so happy to be here.
I'm glad. We're happy to be
I
here
am
as
actually
well.
happy to be here.
Good.
That came out sarcastic. It wasn't meant to be.
Steve's got a great sense of humour.
Steve has an incredibly dry sense of humour and it's awesome. So, Steve, how are you for the second time? Obviously, we did this earlier. Why are you here today? Why are you on? I'm going to stop knocking my microphone because I'm not aware that's probably
Don't
going to...
touch the mic.
Move away from the mic.
So, Steve, why are you here today?
So I am here today. I'm guessing to talk about why I am a online kind of personal trainer, nutrition and training coach, and also the drummer in HardFi at the same time. How the hell does that work?
How did that happen?
How did that happen? And to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, I'm good with that. So, kicking things off, how long have you been a drummer?
Being a drummer from when I was like 6 years old. If I give away how long that is, it gives away my age.
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
And like I said before, I don't count my age in years anymore. I count it in bulking cycles. So it's actually 8, something like that, rather than 30, which would be the real number, you know.
Awesome, because we're all drummers here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might
Luke
not
is
know
a
that.
drummer in the
I also played the steel pans as well.
loosest possible sense.
We should have lined up in order of drumming
ability.
I'm definitely at the right end. Lawrence and Steve need to swap around.
Once a drummer, always a drummer.
Exactly.
That's
We
it.
can relate. Like
That's
people
it,
think the drums is easy, but try coordinating with your left to right arm, your left foot and your right foot all at the same time. It's hard.
Exactly, man.
Exactly. No, unless you've been on the drums, you don't know this, and we are all 3 drummers.
Drummer's got dexterity and rhythm.
Yeah. I tried to play the piano once, all I got was "Oh When the Saints Comes Marching In," and that
Yeah,
was my whack. And Love Me Tender? But that's when I had to use the actual left hand, and then things got really
Never
bad.
the left hand
See,
at the same time.
It's,
That's that's
I
crazy.
can do 4 limbs,
Yeah.
10 fingers.
Yeah.
That's pushing it. I
Yeah,
can
it's too much.
just about.
Yeah, no.
Too intricate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll leave that there before it gets dirty.
Lawrence, you've been playing the drums for? Mine was like a year and a half before my horrible school said, "Do you want to play PE?" Or,
Do you want to play PE?
Well, do you want to pick PE? Do you know year 9 them moments when you've got to make that first decision of your younger life? Is do you go down the PE route or do you go down the music route? These two obviously went down the music
I
route.
was so music.
So music.
So
That's
music.
because they were so not PE.
Yeah, I was
That way,
I was
yeah, maybe.
really, really bad. Like, I would have loved to have been good at football. Like, I would have killed to be good at football, and I was so poor at football. It's like,
I still am.
it's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing.
I could play hockey. I did that for a bit.
No, I'm pretty bad at every sport, really.
Everything.
Yeah.
So Steve, so you've been playing for 30 years.
Yeah, for a long time.
Started when you were 6. Why did you get into drumming? Why was it drumming at age of 6? Because at age of 6, not many people know
No,
what
so
they want to do.
So my dad used to be a drummer back in the day. I didn't know this at the age of 6. He'd sort of given it up or whatever, and he had a drum kit though, which was like in the loft. One day we were clearing the loft out. I spotted that. Obviously, as a kid, like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's the drums. He got them out, set them up. I started playing. That was it. From the age of 6, I wanted to be a drummer. I kind of knew that in my future that was what I was gonna do, and just played a lot. Became just like a drum kid, you know.
Just the drum kid.
The drum kid, yeah. Played
When
like.
family come round, it's like, go on, Steve, play the drum.
Get on the drums, way. All right, stop it now.
You're annoyed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. And I kind of knew that it led me to London. I moved to London when I was 17 years old because, like, in Morecambe, I think I did a gig in a working man's club at the age of like 15 or something, and that was about as good as it was going to get. You know, I think I got paid like £20.
Nice.
That was pretty cool. In Morecambe, yeah, it was. So I thought probably have to go to London if I want to make a career out of this, which turned out to be true, unfortunately, or fortunately.
So how did HardFi form? When did it form? And how did you explode so quickly?
So I knew the singer previously. I'd been a drummer in his old band for a brief sort of period, and then they split up, and out of the ashes of that band, me and him formed at HardFi, recorded a load of songs, put the band together. Really long story short, got a song on YouTube, MTV played it, we recorded it ourselves, we did the video ourselves, which was terrible and hilarious.
Was the audio from the video, or did you actually
No, we recorded it properly, and then we did a video with like camcorders and stuff of us like playing at Heathrow, so we had planes coming over, which was like massively illegal, but looked pretty cool. And then
didn't get chucked out, then you'd definitely get chucked out today if you tried
exactly.
that.
Or just like sniped from a really like long distance or something. Yeah. And then and that was it really. That got on MTV and stuff, and it got on the radio, and then it kind of went from there. Picked up, signed a major label deal, and
the rest, as they say, is history.
History maybe won't go down in the history books, but is history.
Although you are incredibly internet famous for having slagged off Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that briefly.
So, I think.
Is that the most shit you've got on the internet?
It is the most shit I ever got on the internet. Personally, people seeking me out and calling me, a lot of Americans calling me a douchebag, which, you know, was sort of bad and amusing at the same time. But it was, I forget, to be honest, what I was talking about. Like, who knows? But I think they were doing like some comeback gig and they were charging a lot of money for it, and I criticised them. I was like, you don't need to charge that much. Why don't you do more gigs, charge less or something? It got in the papers a little bit. It got in the news. At one point, I used to have like a radio alarm clock, and I used to listen to like talk radio. And I woke up in the morning, a couple of days after I said it, or slagged them off, as it were, and they were discussing it on the radio, and people were phoning in and saying this guy's an idiot, you know. And I was like, oh.
You actually quoted on the NME website.
Oh really?
Yeah. You apparently you branded them dinosaurs.
Well.
And
how old was you then?
27.
That is an incredible.
So you were like a
picture.
young, immature.
I'm gonna see if we can. Can we?
Where's that? We can link it up in the show.
Oh, there's better pictures than that. Come on, that's not even that good.
Mitchell ain't gonna get that. Put it on your live stream.
This.
Have a look at me in full on.
That is
in full on Crohn's disease. Looking
Crohn.
particularly
that's
like.
amazing. Look at the leaves.
Giving away the Crohns.
Oh
wow.
Sorry, man.
Look at that, Mitch. That's
sexual. That's what that is.
Incredible picture.
If you like that type of thing.
Yeah.
So if we can relate this back to the fitness industry, this was the equivalent of trolling online now?
Probably, yeah.
Where did you put this out? Was it a video?
Back in the day, internet trolling was like, you know, no, I think someone asked me a question in an interview, and then I said that in the interview, and then other people picked up on it. Yeah, other people picked up on it, and then I was slagging people off.
How did that have an impact on the band? Did it help in, like, people say, oh, like, bad news is like, as long as people are talking about it.
It's news, so that is true. So it wasn't that bad really, because no one who's going to watch Led Zeppelin really was coming to see us. I shouldn't have thought. And then, as long as it didn't make me look like a complete twat, it wasn't that bad, you know. So it was all right.
It is what it is.
It's okay. But
do you see any parallels between that and some of the bigger name personal trainers charging an absolute fortune for their services?
Question,
and do you think that your
dinosaurs?
kind of ethical standpoint is still valid?
Yeah, I think especially if they're giving out the same information that they gave out, you know, a couple of years ago, you know.
They've not got more knowledgeable.
Yeah, they haven't got more knowledgeable. It's the same stuff. You know, I think things move on. People want to hear different stuff, especially from personal trainers and that, even though like it's not like carbs are going to be invented like next week. You know, we already kind of know.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I know, gutted. We already kind of know a lot, but yeah, I guess so. People put on seminars and things and maybe charge a little bit too much, or maybe just make it too...
Samey?
Yeah, too samey, maybe come out with the same stuff. I guess there are parallels.
Yeah.
Wait until I do my nutrition conference, obviously, you know, I'll start it next year.
£1,000 a day.
Yeah, no, I don't think
at least.
And
you do get a drink with that.
invent a new macro, yeah.
Yeah,
just got to find
or just talk about alcohol. That's the only one that anyone should be bothered about anyway.
Speaking of which, I guess the main way of us keeping this properly on topic is to talk about nutrition and fitness and the whole lifestyle of being a touring, gigging musician, which is why obviously alcohol relates to that, because from what I know of touring, gigging, blah, 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 debauchery is a nice way of describing it. So, obviously you've mentioned the Crohns. Did that play a role in your lifestyle while on tour? How did that, contrast or complement the other band members?
Yeah, so just as the band, to give you a bit of background, just as the band kicked off, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease in about 2003, something like that, which I lost a lot of weight. It became about 45 kilograms or something.
Literally half what I weigh now.
Yeah, so I was pretty spindly for a time. And it obviously affected, just down to even like energy levels and stuff like that on tour. It was really tough for me. Because I'm a really, really, really bad geek, I geeked out on that. I geeked out on all the nutrition and stuff. I geeked out on how to fix it. And I'm pretty compliance-wise, I'm pretty good. Like I said before as well, if you were to coach me and you gave me a program that was utterly ludicrous that you would never give anyone, I'd be like, all right, sweet, let's do this. Because that's kind of my mindset.
You're the closest to a robot.
Which when I started coaching other people, I had to understand. I'm
not normal.
I had to understand that isn't normal. Yeah, you can't tell people to do things and expect them to do it. It has to be reasonably reasonable.
Say reasonable again.
Reasonably reasonable.
Yeah. Sorry.
But on tour, I had to do a lot of things that the other guys didn't have to do. So they could go out and get hammered and do this, do that, and they'd be okay. I had to look after myself a little bit more, so it did kind of impact it.
Awesome.
And so nutrition, it was important for me. It was less important for them. They could go out and get smashed on tour and just eat M&Ms and basically still get leaner, still get fitter. They got fitter and leaner on tour doing everything really bad just because they were working so hard every night.
Yeah. The energy expenditure through that.
Yeah, just through the roof. Just loads of energy expenditure, just loads of actual exercise, if you like. They got better.
More than what it would have been when you weren't on tour, so it made a big impact.
They towards the end of a tour, they would be much fitter at touring. So specificity came into it. They'd be much fitter at touring.
And their alcohol tolerance went up as well.
Yeah, exactly. So the liver kind of it learned what was happening. It adapted. Yeah.
Yeah, SAID principle and all that.
That's it.
Man.
So in regards to fitness-wise and nutrition, obviously if they're drinking alcohol and M&Ms, would you say there was I know obviously as the tour goes on you're probably getting more used to working together on tour, but being fitter, looking leaner, were the performances better? Would you say in regards to having more energy?
Well, no. Obviously, if you actually really wanted to perform well, you would treat it like a sport.
Yeah.
You would eat like a sportsman would eat. You would get the right amount of sleep. You would do all the things that are
You'd get sleep.
Yeah. You would do all the things that are important, and that you get through it by just sort of adrenaline. Then you have to understand as well that you fly to different continents, and do gigs, and then you fly over again and you do another gig, so you never really know what time it is. And your whole kind of circadian rhythm, is completely mixed up. So if you were to nutritionally look at that, and kind of work it out and get all the right things in place, it would be better.
Yeah.
There's no one can argue that what everyone's doing is the best thing. No way.
If I had to put you on the spot now and say that if you were coaching a touring musician, what guidelines would you give them? How would you set them up if they said, right, Steve, I want it optimal. I want it as good as I can make it.
I want to get shredded. Proper shredded.
Or I want to give the best performances I can and not come off the tour, sleep for a week because I'm just physically broken. What do you do?
Well, then he would probably, this person would not hire me because I would tell him not to drink. I would tell him to go to bed at night, Is
it really just that simple?
You did say
optimal. It really is that simple. Yeah, if it wants to be optimal, those are things that don't happen on tour.
So crazy
and will never happen on tour.
Carb doses before you go on stage.
Not really.
Caffeine.
Caffeine. Yeah, exactly. A little bit of a. The worst gig I ever played was when I did had too much caffeine, load. I never drank before I did a gig because alcohol and being in control when you're on the drums is not good. You think you're amazing. You're like, this is the best gig ever. Then you listen to a recording and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, I did that once. Yeah. It was the most terrible thing.
But caffeine was the worst. I had basically like the equivalent of like 10 pre-workouts before I went on stage, and I was just like that. It was really bad.
You couldn't help with the bass drum.
Yeah, it was really bad. I wanted to like doing like the slow grooves, you know what I mean? And I wanted to be playing like death metal.
Slow groove every 4 bars, just like crazy fill everywhere.
Low drum roll.
Then the singer just like, what are you doing about this?
So if you're going to be optimal, sleep, less stimulants, don't drink, be boring, do some training.
Mm-hmm. Training wise, is there anything that particularly helps drummers?
Kind of like a little bit of, the drumming itself, again, like I know we're joking about the said principle, but it actually kind of does get you in shape for it. So strength training is good. Maybe like a slight sort of muscular endurance type of angle that you could take maybe, because that's what it is, you're doing something quite fast, quite a lot, so you have to be good at that, so maybe that could help. But just doing some kind of training would probably be a really good idea. Weight training,
Were there ever any injuries that occurred as a result of drumming? Other than, muscular injuries, like kind of, I'm thinking forearms, rotator cuffs, small muscles in the hands, stuff like that.
You can do your rotator cuff in, so it's good to keep them. Even guitarists as well, they have to look at, like, they should do exercises where they look at their posture. They should do like scapular wall slides, stuff like that. They end up getting like quite stooped over. You can just be stood there like that playing the guitar.
As a violinist, it's a really weird thing for me, where my left arm is fully externally rotated and also travelling up and down the fingerboard, and then my right arm is fully internally rotated and also doing that, so I end up just kind of
just get stuck like that
twisted over.
How's it going?
Yeah, I'm great.
when we're doing an assessment on the SBS Academy, we'll be like, rather than doing an exercise, it'd be like, okay, now you're playing this song on the violin, what joint actions are occurring at the elbow and shoulder joint?
Biceps, all of the biceps.
I want to touch base more on the Crohn's disease, and obviously you went down to 45 kg. But again, I've not researched into this, so what research is out there, if any? And I know you touched base on that. It can flare up and.
Yeah, so I want to kind of like preface this to say that I'm not necessarily an expert in Crohn's disease, even though I have it and I have looked at a lot of the research. If you're watching this and you're like, oh wow, okay, he's the expert on Crohn's disease, I'm not, right? So go actually seek someone out who is. But in terms of when it flares up, you're kind of in trouble really. Like nutrition wise, there's not loads that you can do to help other than what they call an elemental diet, which is just like a liquid diet, amino acids, glucose, that kind of thing, stuff that you need to survive basically, obviously sodium, potassium, all that kind of stuff. But that does work. Like proven. They do that time and time again, and it works. It seems to help. Other stuff, it is just really hard. The thing is with Crohn's disease is that when you can just move into periods of remission, and during these periods you can still have symptoms which present like symptoms of Crohn's disease because it's left your gut in such a state that the kind of your gut microbiota, if you like, is so messed up that the symptoms can seem like they're the same, but really it's not the actual Crohn's disease, it's just the mess that you've been left with. So then you can look at certain diets like low FODMAP diets, those kind of things. You can look at specific food choices to try and help yourself. Resistance training is obviously good, but when it kicks off, you really have to go to the hospital and just like get some treatment really. And I think 80% of people end up having some kind of surgery who have Crohn's disease some kind of surgery where they actually take part of your intestine out, which is unfortunate.
Is that when people end up with colostomy bags and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean that can happen. Normally they take a little bit out, but then Crohn's being the bit that's like has the Crohn's disease, but then unfortunately Crohn's disease can come back at any part of the gastrointestinal tract, so makes it a bit more annoying.
A little bit.
But happily though, I'm not too bad at the minute. It's kind of it's on one of its holidays. Crohn's disease can disappear for years, or it might never come back. You've still got it, right? But it's not just doing its thing. So that's good. So that's the time to maximise your nutrition, maximise your training. that's the reason that I started resistance training rather than being into endurance, because I was into running before that. Obviously at 45 kilograms, I thought, right, I better put some meat on. Running's not going to get me that, so I started resistance training. I'd always been a geek. I'd always read books about periodization. I'd always been into the nutrition kind of stuff with the endurance exercise, but I just took that, went all into like lifting and that kind of nutrition. Really kind of like I say, I'm a bit of a geek. I tend to geek out on stuff. If I go all in on something, I go all in on it properly. So that's why I started lifting, and then I kind of took it from there. And now look at me, look at this fine specimen.
Adonis.
60 kilograms now, people. That's right, 60.
Oh, it's still a higher percentage.
You know
if you look at percentage-wise, that's a
massive.
That's a lot.
It's 30% of my entire body weight, which was interesting when you were talking about on your, I think it was your last podcast, about how lifters and levels of advancement, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of people would look at me and just think that I'm like barely an intermediate, you know, whereas in reality, I'm so advanced. You know what I mean?
You're more advanced than advanced.
Probably.
So it seems like, obviously, drummer, there's not many 6-year-olds which know what they want to do. Passionate about it. How many hours a day did you used to be on a drum kit?
Yeah, quite a lot. And
until the neighbours broke the door
Until the
down.
neighbours brought the
Shut
door
up!
down. Yeah, no.
Soundproof room.
Yeah, they didn't like it. We didn't have a soundproof room either, so that was pretty bad.
I didn't.
It was pretty bad.
I'm a loud drummer.
But yeah, play the drums a whole lot for a long time.
And then the same with your fitness. So you again got really passionate about it. Spent a ton of time. I know you've conferences and seminars you've been to. You've been to, I don't know, we're going there at Crohns, PTC and stuff like that. And you're looking to maybe progress, maybe to do a masters next year. Is that correct?
Yeah. So the fitness stuff, like I was kind of like, it goes quite a long time back. I was looking at like Lyle McDonald's forums and stuff. I was on the Mean forum, I think, back in about 2006, and was just really into it back then. So it's taken me, obviously I was in the band, or I still am in the band, but like we were touring the world at that point. It wasn't like I could invest in an education, because I would just have no way to do it. But whenever we had some downtime, I would do something. So I took A-levels a few years ago. I had tried to get some like online kind of degree courses, this and that. Hopefully going to be doing the master's degree next year. And it's just something that I was really interested in, and I got into the coaching in a kind of similar way. So even quite a lot of years ago, because when you're in the gym and you talk about, you know, your nutrition and training or whatever to the other people in the gym, sometimes people's ears prick up and they'll start to ask you a few questions. So I took on, I would answer a few questions in the gym, and then I ended up taking on a few clients. Although I didn't charge them anything, I kind of like treated them like they were a client, and gained experience doing that. And even that was like a number of years ago. And so now I'm actually finally in a place where, out in the real world, I actually take on real world clients,
real people. Hopefully
get them real world results, and you know, and yeah, and that's what I'm doing.
So you mentioned the forum back in the day. So you'd be on a tour bus, looking at the forum. What how's sort of the music industry progressed from back then, from when you were at your prime, to now? And is there much similarities between sort of personal trainers back in the day and now everything's like the online personal training? Because even like online personal training, most people obviously watching this on the Shredded by Science page, if you're watching it through obviously HardFi, when you say like online personal training, people just can't grasp the concept of what online personal training is. How can you do personal training if you're not in person? But back then it was forums, and that sort of seems like Facebook in regards to how it's progressed. In regards to the music industry and the fitness industry, is there similarities in regards to promotion or getting clients or getting new followers?
Yeah, totally. It would be the same thing. Like, so back in the day, a band would have a website, and on that website they'd have a forum. Like similar sort of thing is like if you were a big fitness guy, you know, like I mentioned Lyle McDonald before. If you were a fitness guy, you would have a website. Maybe you would have your own forum or whatever. So that's how that used to work, and that quickly started to die out as we kind of progressed, and it became more about Facebook, more about YouTube, and it kind of still is about Facebook and YouTube, I suppose. But there are so many other platforms now, and as people get used to the newer platforms, the bands have to be on them like all the time, because I think no one logs into a forum anymore and sits there and looks at it, right? They want it like that. So that's changed. You used to have more time. You'd be able to go in the studio and record for a year, and they'd wait for you, right? You'd do a few posts and stuff. They'd wait until you came out. Oh, here's our new album. Then you promote it. Nowadays, you probably have to like Snapchat that recording process, you know, from be interested, and that's just the way the world is. So I guess that's the same in the fitness industry. Well, it is the same in the fitness industry.
In any industry.
In any industry, yeah.
Could you draw parallels between, obviously, the music industry has been, I think, had the carpet pulled out from under its feet by streaming services such as Spotify, which have set the expectation that people should be, or people can get.
Music is free now.
Yeah, basically free.
Yeah.
For £10 a month, I can listen to.
Or for nothing if you want to have a few adverts, you know. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So can you parallel, like, obviously, personal trainers? Beforehand, people knew that a personal trainer was in a gym. They could go to a gym, hire a personal trainer, blah blah blah. And similarly, a few years back, people knew that if they wanted to consume music at home, they go to a CD shop, buy the CD. They go to HMV. To buy the CD, take it home.
Or other shops,
listen
but not
to it.
endorsing
No, not at all. But especially when they've gone bust. Do you reckon there's a similar sort of thing with regards to the amount of free content that personal trainers need to put out?
Yeah.
Like, is there the expectation that free stuff needs to be readily available to be consumed before people will spend money on a gig ticket or?
Yeah.
Hire you as a coach.
And I think that a lot of people don't understand. You know, like we. The amount of information that you can put out for free, I mean, people do have... I mean, obviously, you try and put out information, right? You try, and that's important. People need to know that you're up to date in what you're talking about, and they need to know that you're out there and that you're doing it, right? So you definitely have to show that, and you have to give people information, right? But we used to have people come up to us at gigs, and they'd say, yeah, I downloaded your album. And I was like, oh, yeah? Where from? And it would be like, you know, what they meant is they illegally streamed it. And they would say that to me, you know, like, I just spent 2 years making this album.
Yeah.
Because they didn't they sort of didn't understand. They just had that expectation that it's on the internet, therefore it's free. Right? So, which isn't the case. I think for people looking for personal trainers now, because there are so many, you know, Insta-famous people out there, or so many people on social media, I think it can be really confusing. In terms of what the process is, and in terms of how to contact people and get in touch with them and secure sort of coaching and stuff like that, it can be difficult. So a lot of people will just look at what free content is out there and then try and piece together their own kind of programs, which is fine. But then every day when you look at the computer, there's new stuff. Someone else is saying this, someone else is saying that, and it just looks like there's thousands of things going on at once. What do I need to do? What do I pick? So with my own clients, I try and just distill all that down into something that's like that you can just follow and that you can just understand, and that isn't complicated and it fits in with your lifestyle, rather than like, okay, today I'm doing this, and tomorrow, oh yeah, I might do this. You know, literally people will switch up their game like every single day, which is, you know, it's tough for them, I guess.
Yeah. So in regards to the clients you currently coach online now, fitness, is there like a specific avatar who you specialise in?
So I like I just said, I tend to sort of attract the guys who are confused a little bit about what the best way for them is to progress, but like they're smart enough to realise that, right? So they're smart enough to realise that they don't know everything. They don't necessarily walk in a gym and tell people what to do. You should be doing this. They're not that bought into something. They're just a little bit like, oh, I'm not quite sure. I've got a few of these tendencies. I'm not sure. Is it right? If I eat carbs if I eat fruit like past 6 o'clock, does that make me fat? I'm not sure it does, you know. But I'm not sure because he says it does, and he says it doesn't. And then that's what I tend to do. I tend to make things a little bit more simple, hopefully.
Yeah,
that's good.
Sort of like what our avatar used to be, like those where they know, they can sort of, as you said, they sort of know, but they've not researched, they've not looked at at the actual science base.
They need reassuring a lot of the time.
Yeah, they need accountability, they need reassurance, they need to know what they're doing is going to work without having to like jump onto the next bandwagon. The next trend, the next bandwagon, the next YouTube video, whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the toughest challenge you've ever faced?
So as a coach, one of the first like proper clients that I had, actually he wasn't a proper client in that he was paying me. So maybe he lacked buy-in or whatever because he actually hadn't paid. But in the gym, there was a guy there he was like, I can't remember what he weighed now, but he was like 330 pounds or something like that. He was a big guy.
Big boy.
Yeah, he was a big guy, and he was asking like, can you help me with weight loss? And I was like, yep. I can definitely help you with weight loss.
Get Crohn.
You'll be fine. This will be okay. And like, and long story short, it wasn't okay. So he kind of wrote me out. I even got to the point where I was like, okay, just tell me what you're eating every day. And he wrote out a list like really detailed, and I added it up. Totted up the macros and stuff. I think it came out to about 1,200 calories. And I was like, that's not what you're really eating. And he either didn't know what he was eating, or he just ate without realizing that he was eating, or something was going on. And I completely failed with that client because he didn't lose like 1 pound when he was working with me.
Wow.
And after like 2 months, he was just like, okay, thanks, and that was it. And there's nothing that I could do. I tried everything that I knew at that point, and that was before I'd started charging people for money. So I didn't charge this guy, but that was a big like learning curve. In he sought me out and asked for my help. And then I did everything that I thought that I could, and he was like, very, very obese, and I still couldn't help the guy. So that made me like, that was quite tough. That made me consider the whole coaching process a lot more.
But what did you change as a result of that? Did you change anything in your coaching process going forward?
Yeah, I think...
apart from charging people money.
Yeah, so I think that is actually like one of the biggest things. I don't think he would have paid for something.
Right.
I don't think he would have actually parted, or maybe if he had have paid for it, then he would have actually stuck to the program. So I think that buy-in was like a big thing. I tend to speak to people up front, and I tend to make sure. I tend to have a much more rigorous selection process now in terms of the clients that I do take on, because even though everyone, the guy wanted help and was deserving of help, if I feel like he doesn't seem to be on the same page as me from the get-go, then I might not take him on anymore, because if I can't help you, it's a waste of his time and it's kind of a waste of my time. So I think that little screening process with clients now is something that I do a little bit more. And then to try and have just a lot more empathy. Like I mentioned before, I can follow any program at all. Other people clearly can't. Maybe I lacked empathy or something, and that's something that I've tried to work on a lot since.
Awesome.
Nice. So
that empathy, baby. That's where it's at, man.
Is there what have you done that's helped you kind of develop that? Is there anything that you've consciously gone about doing to help kind of increase your levels of empathy, or
not necessarily? I think like emotional intelligence is something that that very young people can have. So it's not necessarily the case that like a 19-year-old out of PT school can't understand the person's needs. I don't think that's true. Like I don't think that it's something that like you either have or don't have as well. So I think it's something that you can kind of nurture and just get to understand. And it does, depending on your mindset when you're coaching someone, you can just learn through the coaching process, if that makes sense. You can become a coach and then get better at it by practicing it, if that makes sense, rather than just having this innate ability to be really good at it. So just try and view them. Sometimes people don't know what's right for them as well, and that's why they contact you. So it's sometimes don't make everything too easy. To, give people some hard truths sometimes as well. Tell them you've got to do this.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think the good thing as well is you actually got coaching experience. Most people like PTs, they get a 6-week PT qual, and then they think, because even me back in the day, I was probably like 21, 22 when I got it. You think, oh, you've got this piece of paper now, and you're just going to automatically charge £40 an hour. Yeah. You're going to be on 40, 50, 60
or in
days.
the online world, a bodybuilder who does his first like amateur show, and then he's like a prep coach.
Message me for diet plans.
Message me for diet plans. That's it. Look at me, I'm shredded.
And even going back to that client itself, I've said numerous times that online personal training isn't for everyone. And when people say like personal training offline, face to face, it's going to die out. it's not going to die out because that person or anyone who's a rank beginner who has low sort of training age, they've never lifted, or their nutritional knowledge is quite low, and their motivation is quite low to be in a gym. So one, they don't have the knowledge. Two, they're not like a younger guy who's into it. As you said, they were sort of a pro. They want to actually learn.
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing, obviously, from looking at you on social media. It's not, yes, you're putting that content, but it's valuable content which educates as well as coaches.
That's right. So my online clients are people who are already lifting, can already lift. I don't think that online is necessarily. I wouldn't want to teach someone how to do a squat who's never done it before.
Online.
There's face-to-face coaching for that, right?
Yeah,
I don't think that's. Well, for me anyway, I don't want to do that.
No, I agree.
So they're guys who are already lifting. They're guys who are already they're already in it. They just need that accountability. They need that reassurance to progress. Yeah. And that's kind of those are the people who I work with online basically. In person is kind of like anyone.
Yeah. Which it's easier though, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot easier.
People who don't know anything about anything, you can show.
And there are different skills between being an online coach and an in-person coach.
For sure, yeah.
So in regards to the guys, where can they follow you? Where's the best place to follow you on social media, and what type of content can they look forward to seeing?
So on my Facebook page, I will post, I'll geek out a little bit. I'll do some videos. I'll do some posts about just anecdotal stuff, and then I'll do quite a bit of new studies that have come out and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I'll post them up and I'll talk about a few things. Mm-hmm. And that is. Now I've got to remember what my Facebook page is. I think it's Stephen.
Get it up, Jenna.
.m.kemp.
Or get the actual URL.
Get the URL.
Get the URL.
No, not that one. That's your profile.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Lawrence is having a mare.
I'm having a mare.
Where else? I know you're on the.
So I'm on. Yeah. So Facebook is kind of
more educational.
Yeah, more educational, and then
Instagram
will be a little bit similar, but a little bit more here's what I'm up to
What's
as
your handle
well.
on there?
Yeah, exactly. And then that's the same Stephen and Kemp.
I'll change the camera angle so people can
camera
see.
angle.
There we are. And then you'll see that I'm got my Snapchat thing up
I've
there.
got you some followers today. We'll have to check afterwards. Okay,
I am after being completely not wanting to go on Snapchat. I'm on that stuff.
We're on Snapchat.
I'm on Snapchat.
And that anything goes on Snapchat.
Anything
goes. 24 hours.
Just total nude shots of me, nude videos.
Yeah.
Just anything like that.
Follow him.
I'll message
see if
you
he's telling the
directly
truth.
with nudes.
Oh, amazing.
Wicked.
Brilliant. Right. I think we're kind of a good place to wrap this up. We've not done this for a couple of episodes.
Oh.
When Emma and I used to do our episodes, and when Patrick and I've done a couple, I used to ask them, what do you know now that you didn't know this time last week? So I'm going to bring it back.
Oh my god.
Put him on the spot. Even I don't know this.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Steve's answering now.
Alright, last week, what did I not know? So I made a mistake somewhere where I was talking about, again, a little bit geeky, fat oxidation. Mm-hmm. If you eat more fat, increase the fat that you eat. That doesn't necessarily increase fat oxidation. Fat oxidation increases when carbs are lowered, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you're on a diet that's got high carbs, high fat, you start eating more fat. That doesn't increase fat oxidation. If you lower the carbs, fat oxidation increases. And I kind of got that a little bit mixed up because I was used to low carb diets, high fat oxidation, and I put 2 and 2 together, got 5. So last week I wasn't too sure about that. This week I've pretty much got it sourced.
So fat oxidation will only go up when carbs are
if other sort of substrate is not as available.
not as available. So if other substrates are available, fat will be stored.
Yeah, fat's going to get stored and it's not going to affect fat oxidation. So that's pretty pointless information for a lot of things, but that is...
It's good for our Shredded by Science.
I also wanted to give a very quick shout out to our SBS Academy student, Scott, who I got this package this morning, yesterday. Luke collected it for me. Sent me some cold brew coffee from the Brew Lab up in Edinburgh. Had a bottle of it. Really, really good. So thank you very much, Scott. One request from people. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Leave us nice reviews, as ever.
And Steve's page.
And obviously...
You're getting a YouTube
page.
channel, yes, Steve?
Oh, that's right.
He's going to have YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat.
So, request is, once you've followed Steve...
Yes, do that first.
Do all of that first. Then go leave us a nice review on iTunes. Please. That would be awesome. And if you want to send me coffee...
Send it.
Just send it.
I'll take carb killer bars.
Luke takes carb killer bars. I take coffee.
What do you take, Steve? What's your thing?
Games.
Just gains, yeah. Give me some more
With
gains.
Zeds.
You know, if you can donate any of your gains to me, I would love that.
Feel free.
That's why Steve's been sat so close to me, just kind of osmosis.
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
Right, cheers guys.
Thank you very much for
Cheers,
watching.
Steve. Thanks for coming
See you
on.
next time on Shredded by Science Radio. Take care.
Laters.